Hi, it's Lee and welcome to the Tesla Economist. I'm hearing a lot of people not so happy about Tesla as an investment or even Elon as a CEO. Some saying it's time for Elon to be replaced as CEO and get someone who knows how to make a regular pickup truck or a compact, affordable EV, and someone who act more like a traditional, less controversial CEO, accompanied with all sorts of other negative rhetoric about Tesla cars and being too expensive and losing demand to the Chinese. I think a lot of this has stemmed from the current fear, uncertainty, and doubt going around. Then the hyperballs will make you feel like it's just trivial and something you should just brush off, like a bit of dust on your shoulder. Sometimes the FUD is stronger than other times, and sometimes it can be more contagious and spread through the community like a virus. Then it sets in deeper, and we have people in the community confirming FUD, or others that just like to be conservative and decided to wear some of the FUD as if they are genuinely being pragmatic, but instead just trying to be a spokesperson, trying to lend themselves to more credibility as they are taking this seriously. However, this micro FUD seems to have all been debunked. Tesla don't have demand problems, and the main vehicle that people were referring to that had demand issues was the Model Y, rear-wheel drive, which costs less than the competition, even a Volkswagen, if the Volkswagen had all the options that come standard in a Tesla, or if you factored in the cost savings you get from no fuel in a Tesla. I take this seriously too. I have a lot riding on this company. It's also because of me that my dad's retirement is riding on this too. You might think I do this extensive research just to make videos, but that's not the case, although I do enjoy an audience. I'm motivated to get to the bottom of this anyway, as my hopeful early retirement, for lack of a better word, not sure I'll ever retire, is also riding on this. And yes, being all in on Tesla and getting my family all in too definitely means I am always focused on our investments. But I'm also fascinated by the company too, along with the outstanding products they create, the engineering, the business strategy, the technology, and the mission to reshape the world and humanity as we know it, and for the better. Therefore, I do continual quantifiable research with as many numbers as I can find, and try to use these numbers for everyone to just gain perspective. And okay, there are some people in this community who capitulated a long time on ever believing FUD again, and are admittedly stronger believers than even me. They appear to have absolute blind faith in Tesla and anything Elon does. And perhaps they're right. Maybe they get it all better than me. I have to research all the FUD myself as first-hand as possible to discover for myself that Tesla is still winning on all fronts, rather than just laughing it off. Like when Volkswagen were entering the electric market with the ID.3, and it was going to be a Tesla killer. Even this one my dad was concerned about, and I had to stop him selling, because I had done the necessary research on just how popular this car was not to mention the profit that it was also not making. This was when Tesla was trading the equivalent of around $150 a share back then. I mean, my dad wasn't about to sell it all, but possibly take some decent profits at the time. And admittedly, I have a bias whenever I do this research. I know Tesla is amazing. I know they have the best engineers. I know how smart the CEO is. I know how hard he works, how motivated everyone who works there is, how incredible Tesla's specifications are relative to any other auto manufacturer on the planet. The amount they have invested over time. I know they have the biggest supercharger network, have the most experience. I know all these other things as to why Tesla are going to make better cars than anyone else. So whenever I hear about the next Tesla killer or something along those lines, I am admittedly looking for their lie. I don't humour them first as to how might they be possibly as good as Tesla. I go for the attack first. Where is their lie? And I don't stop until I find it, because I always know, well, all those things I just said I know earlier, and how Tesla is unassailable as a result. But like I said, I still like to check and research myself each and every time, and then I can report my findings to many others, perhaps who don't have as strong as faith as me, and do need the continual reinforcement, and simply don't have the time to do this much research for themselves. I'll even go and test drive as many other EVs as I can, to compare firsthand. But at the end of the day, it's just not possible. Tesla have the best engineering talent. Tesla have been doing this the longest. Tesla do such clever things. We hear industry experts in their fields marvel at what Tesla does in engineering, whether it's manufacturing or battery technology. Tesla have completely leapfrogged traditional auto manufacturers at their own game that they've been evolving at for over a century. Except Tesla have flipped the script with a new propellant that is not in Legacy's area of expertise. It requires a complete redesign for the automobile that Tesla are already well ahead of them on. Legacy can only move slow and suffer from huge diseconomies of scale that Elon has done his best to remove from the company's structure and must move at the speed of innovation as much as possible, with no corporate bureaucracy or politics to stand in the way, along with no other legacy cash flow to get in the way. But yes, sadly, the overall sentiment of the community is down and not as excited as it once was. On top of that, many of us are down a lot of money from earlier this year. I'm not going to lie, all these buying opportunities don't always make me as happy as the times when it's not a buying opportunity. But the fact is that none of us were likely to sell our shares this year or next anyway. Then we have actual world events to further exacerbate our mood, potentially the highest chance of a nuclear war there's ever been in my lifetime, rampant inflation, energy shortages, and we don't know how these will eventuate. Then tomorrow it could all change. Alright, probably not literally tomorrow, but perhaps early next year. The war could end, the Fed could pivot, Tesla could have ramped up, Tesla could have sorted 4680s, cracked FSD. This could all turn around quickly, and the stock shoots up north of $400. Then you look back and might literally kick yourself for not being greedy when the stock was close to $200. Okay, that might just be a fantasy and too good to be true. Just trying to throw out some future hindsight. My real point is that right now we are in a rut of negativity, possibly around peak fear too. And although you can say it's all macro related, it really isn't. Sure, Tesla is being hit by macro events, but Tesla is still down almost twice what the S&P was over the same period. I'm not trying to tell you to buy the dip, or not sell if you think that's the right thing. I'm just offering more perspective of where we are with things, because I'm of the opinion that this is overly negative. People are drawing inferences together from other events, and as they are in a negative mindset, they're seeing everything else as negative. Tesla have increased their supply in China, and wait times have reduced. This can be used to argue that demand has decreased. Meanwhile, BYD and other competitors have increased their supply. This could be used to argue that these brands have taken potential Tesla's customers. The economy doesn't have a great outlook. This could also be used to further reinforce the Tesla's demand is dropping narrative. But then how can these same people explain why Tesla has not dropped prices, or how there is still a 6-month waiting list in parts of Europe for vehicles coming out of Shanghai, or no new Teslas for sale in the Chinese inventory, and very few even used? It's easy to have a narrative or a bias that you want to confirm, and we use any information you can to reinforce it, especially if you exclude the whole picture. This is often an issue with scientific research too. Many scientists are paid to prove something, not research something, and thus they have to often exclude anomalies that completely debunk their entire study, as they weren't paid to do that. I keep doing research with all the facts that I can find to at least allow the possibility that what we have believed for this long and know about this company and CEO is still as strong as it ever was. But luckily, I don't have to go at this alone either. I have thousands of cheerleaders to keep me in check too, and reinforce my beliefs, who give me further perspective, and helping me make sure that I'm not just going off on some tangent with no solid base of fact, with all the comments I read from every video I get. Although I'm also happy for anyone to comment with anything to say to the contrary, and I will likely address those concerns too. Everything I have researched so far has sat well with me. I've not hit any cognitive dissonance, nothing that scares me within the company, with the product or financials. Sure, the economy doesn't have a great outlook right now, But the point is that if it's going to be bad for Tesla, it's going to be so much worse for any other automaker. The world needs transport. People still buy cars. Electric is very clearly going to be the future. We don't even know if electric demand is going to suffer. It might just be ice. Thanks for listening. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon.